Hi there, my name is Abu and welcome to my channel. So in the last couple of weeks, I have received some questions that is there a way to integrate Tailwind CSS in your React Native application? And the answer is yes. There is a very good tool that you can do this, and you know how Tailwind CSS is really picking up. So if you're a front-end developer, I would suggest you really get your hands dirty on Tailwind CSS. So in this short video, I'll show you how to integrate Tailwind CSS to your React Native application. Let's go. So in order to integrate this, we will use this documentation from Native Wind. You can find a very good documentation on how to set this up. So I ran my code using Expo. So I will go to Quick Starts on the left and I'll choose Expo. And they have a very good way of doing this. So I already initialized my application and I'm already in my application. And just to tell you that in case it doesn't work, you need to switch your application from npx to yarn, and I did that already. So the first thing I'll need to do is yarn add native wind, which is really straightforward. I'll just copy this and back to my application, and I'll open my terminal and I'll paste this out and leave this to install. Now after that installation, you'll notice that you have one new file, this babel.config file, and this is where we're going to configure our Tailwind CSS. Now back to the documentation, the next thing we need to do is to also initialize the Tailwind CSS. So again, just copy this back to the editor and back to the terminal again, paste this here, and we need to add the Tailwind CSS. Now after that has completed, back to the documentation, the step 2 is now to initialize Tailwind CSS. Now since I am using yarn, I'll only copy this part and then I'll use yarn to initialize Tailwind CSS. Onto my terminal again, yarn, and then I'll just paste this here and then I'll initialize Tailwind CSS. Now as you can see, it has created a new file for me, this Tailwind config file, which is really important, and this is where we shall also do some configuration. And back to the documentation, the next thing we do is in the content, we just need to add this line of code here. So just copy the string back to the project, inside content, I'll just paste this here. Back to the documentation, step 3 here is to add a small configuration to Babel. So I'll just copy this again and back to my project, I'll go to Babel, and down over here I will just add this as my plugin. So I'm gonna save that and back to the documentation. Let's see, and it's saying that's it. So we can test this out, we are ready to do it. So let's go see if it actually works. So close all of this, I don't need them anymore. But as you know, with Tailwind CSS, we shall need to use class names. Now over here again, this is JSX. Now we shall need to use class name. For the time being, I'm going to remove these styles, just take it out of here, and let's see how this looks like when I just have the view only and I save this. And I should restart my server again. I see it's not picking up this change, and as you can see, the design has been picked, and now I don't have any design on my application. You see this text over here is all the way up on the screen. So how do we bring in Tailwind CSS? Now we just go back to the documentation and see how they do it. So we're going to use class name, as you can see, just like how you do it in React. So back to the documentation, and on this view, I want to give it a class name. And this class name, I'm going to start with, obviously I want this to have flex, just like you do it in Tailwind CSS. And I want to give it flex 1 so that it occupies the entire screen. And when I save it, let me just give it a background color of red so that I see what I'm working with. So when I save this, as you can see now, I'm using the entire screen, and even without going any further, Tailwind CSS is picking up, guys. It is picking up. Look, I have my background color, and now let me justify this to the center, and this text should come to the center, and then I can have my items also to the center if you use Tailwind CSS. And there you go, just as we had it in the initial React Native application. And now I'm styling this with Tailwind CSS. Let's try to do something cool. Let me try something on the text. So class name equals to, let me just try to have my font bold. What do you know? And then text size, maybe 5XL, just to see how it's going to look like. Bam! There you go. Tailwind CSS is picking up in my React Native application. Isn't that amazing? I love Tailwind CSS. It makes work really easy. You should get started with Tailwind CSS. And that's the end of this video, and you can start using Tailwind CSS in your React Native applications. So let me know in the comments below if there's anything that you missed out, or if you have any other idea, or if you need me to do a video of anything else. Please let me know in the comments section, and I will see you on the next video. Stay hungry and stay foolish.